Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you how to start building your first app using the MIT App Inventor. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you guys how to use the user interface here, the layout, media, drawing, and animation. We're going to explore these options, and we're going to follow the tutorial and build our first app. Okay? First and foremost, this is the designer here. The designer lets you actually does what it says and design what the app is going to look like. The functionality comes later in the block editor over here, which you guys are most familiar with. We're going to get to this near the end of the tutorial, so stay tuned for that, and I'll go through what all of these do. In the meantime, though, I want you to stay in Designer, and right now we're going to go through and check out the next step. So we've got a couple different things. We have the palette, the viewer, components, media, and properties. The palette is where all the available components are. You can drag and drop any component from the palette into the viewer. This is your palette window here. That would be your user interface options, your layout options, media, drawing and animation, maps, sensors, social media, storage, connectivity, Lego Mindstorms, experimental features, and extensions, which we do not have. Right now, we're going to stay focused on the user interface section, okay? The user interface section is for options and settings and switches and spinnings and stuff like that, that lets you pick stuff for the user of the app to use. So if you are using an app on your phone like, I don't know, Pokemon Go or Instagram, you are the user, and what you are playing with or touching is the user interface. So, the next one over is the viewer window. This is what it will look like on the phone. We do have phones for you to use. Once we get to the section to test it, that'll be a separate tutorial after this one. So, this is the viewer where you design it, how it looks, how it kind of functions, all done in here. Then you have your components tab. Every screen you add, every setting you put in here, every image you put in here will pop up in the components to show what is in your app completely. The last window, or one of the last windows, is the media window. This shows media that you have access to in your project. In this project, if you'd like to find your own file, you can, but I recommend that you use the ones they have provided for you here. Now, if you don't have them, if they don't pop up here, make sure you go ahead and follow the tutorial, click on these, call me over, and I will show you how to save them. And finally is the properties. This window allows you to view or change any of the properties or characteristics of the currently selected component. That would be this whole section here on the right. Now, we're just selected on screen 1, so it's going to give us all these different options. We don't really need to worry about them too much right now, but they're here for later. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next step. What we're going to do is we're going to first add a button. From the user interface palette on the left side here, you're going to click and drag on button. You're going to click, hold it, and drag it into the viewer, and then let go. As you can see, we now have it here in our window, and yours may not say welcome. I was playing with this earlier and I changed it to welcome. So don't worry about that for now. And it says texture button 1, that's just the standard stuff. We can change that later. And then we have it pops up here in our components. We've now added a component to our app. And we're going to move on to the next step. Now we're going to pull a label from the same place from the palette. We're just going to drag it and drop it over, and now we have a label. And we want to make sure it's below the button. So we're going to go on to our fifth step. Now from the media palette, which is right down here, third option down, hit media. It's going to pull up this drop down, and you're going to grab sound, and you're going to drag it over and let go. Notice it doesn't pop up in the window here, and instead pops down below as a non-visible component. It's non-visible because you don't see sound. You hear it, you can feel it if you're right next to a really loud subwoofer, but you can't see it. So we're going to go ahead and hit next step, and we're going to get to the button properties. So in the components view on the right side, you're going to click on button 1, and we're going to have all the properties here now for button 1. You're going to set the height property to automatic. It's already set to automatic, so we're okay there. And we're going to set the width to fill parent. The parent one is whatever is above it, okay? Anything below the parent would be the child. So we're going to hit fill parent and OK. It's important that we learn those terms of parent and child in terms of coding, because if I come over and I ask you what is the parent to this setting, you will be able to tell me or tell anybody that it is grabbing these settings from this option above. For example, when you guys play Minecraft on the Minecraft server, right now we only have one role set up, but pretty soon we're going to have multiple roles set up where some members can become moderators or even admins or whatnot, and then they will grab those settings from different roles that I establish, and those roles would be, say, the child, whereas the ones I establish are the parent. Does that make sense? If not, raise your hand, call me over, and I'll clarify. But we want to make sure that we clarify that. So as you see, back to the lesson, the width when we hit fill parent comes back over here, and it now extends the button all the way across the screen. We're then going to go down to image, and we're going to select Cody.jpg or JPEG, and we're going to hit OK. And now it gives us a picture to use, and now this picture is now our button. And then what you're going to do, you're going to go down to the text right here, and you're just going to get rid of the text, and then you're going to hit enter. We don't want text on our image right now, okay? That's it for this step. Move on to the next one. Now we're in the label properties. In the label properties, you're going to click on label 1, and you're going to see all the different properties here. You're going to go to background color, and you're going to pick any background color you want. I'm going to pick a orange because I like orange. And then I'm going to change the font size to 30, enter. And then I'm going to change the text here to say touch the bee. Touch the bee, exclamation point. And here's where you can go ahead and now change the text color if you want. And if you are going to change the text color, make sure it contrasts well with the background. So you don't want to pick orange and orange because you can't see it. But you can say green and orange, that looks kind of weird. Or you can say red and orange, that pops a little bit, it contrasts well. Or you can say blue and orange, that works. But for me, I'm going to stick with black and orange, okay? And that's it for this step. If you want to go ahead and adjust this because you don't like where this is, you can put it in the middle by going to text alignment and hit center. That'll move that there. And same thing like we did before, height automatic and width set parent, okay? And it'll extend it out just like you did before, okay? So we are now going to move on to the next step. Right now, we're going to skip this step and connect and run the app. I'll be showing you in a different tutorial how to test the app you just built. So we're going to skip step 8 for now. Now we go to sound properties. So we're going to click on our sound. And we're going to select the source of the sound, because this is just the sound, what will happen in this setting. But it's not going to do anything until we give it a source. So we're going to click on it, and we're going to select bsound.mp3, and then we're going to hit OK. Now the sound that's coded in here is set to this source. We're going to move on to our next step, and now here we go to write some code with blocks. So you're going to go ahead and click blocks, and notice you don't see the phone anymore. You don't see this anymore. Instead, you have all these different options here. So we have built-in controls, we have the controls that are on the screen, and we have any component, but we're not going to code those right now. What we are going to code is we are going to go to the next step. We're going to add a button click event, which means whenever you click the button, this will happen. So I'm going to go ahead and press button 1, and I'm going to grab and drag over the when button 1 click, do this. So I'm going to drag this over and just drop it in here anywhere. This space is an infinite space. You can move anything in here that you want. You can zoom in, you can zoom out, or you can just snap it right to where you need to be. So I'm going to drag it right here for now, so I have more room to work with on my right side. And I'm going to hit next step. Then, from the sound, I'm going to select call sound1.play. I'm going to drag that over, and I'm also going to drag over the call 1 sound vibrate milliseconds. Okay? Then we're going to assign a number to it, which will tell this when I click this, play this sound, and vibrate for these many seconds. Or milliseconds, excuse me. Then I'm going to hit next. We're then going to go to the math section to grab our numbers. And And we're going to grab this one right here, the top one that says 0. We're going to drag it. See where it highlights? And then you're going to let go like a puzzle piece. It's going to snap together. I want you to highlight the number and then type 50. And then you're going to hit enter. That will then go whenever I click button 1, it will play this sound and vibrate for 50 milliseconds. Then we're going to go on to our next step. Now, the tutorial is now over for this step. I hope you enjoyed, and go ahead and open tutorial 2 to figure out how to build the app and run it for your first time emulation.